We can talk. Okay, I call this meeting of the Scotts Valley Community Advisory Committee to order at 5:10 p.m. So, I said 5:10, do it again. Is that like being a poet? I'll start with the roll call, so please bark when your name is called. Jody Attic.
I'm here.
Okay, Joe Coble.
Here.
Jarrett.
Here.
Cornelia.
Here.
And Greg's here, so we're all having an established quorum and we're ready to rock and roll. Move to approval of the agenda as provided. I'll entertain a motion and a second.
I move to accept the agenda.
Joel makes a motion to accept the agenda. Do I have a second?
Sure, Jody.
Jody makes a second. All in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries. Agenda is adopted. Now it's time for public comment. Anything that's not on the agenda, you can have up to 3 minutes to comment on that. And if you'd like to approach the lectern in front with the mic, introduce yourself and share. Not seeing any, we'll move on to the next item going forward then.
We'll be done in 5 minutes.
We have no guest speakers, so we go into council business. In consideration of the draft meeting minutes from last month. I have a copy here if you have any, but they don't have corrections on there, so
But the corrections are mostly just a couple of spelling.
a couple of spellings, but
Yeah,
anyway.
like it right there.
Okay. Yeah, like I got 2 G's after my name again.
But there's nothing else. The
But it's-
ones that I emailed out are corrected.
Okay. If anybody would like to review the minutes, I do have copies up here. Not seeing anybody move forward, then I'll ask for a motion to accept the minutes as proposed. Jody makes a motion to accept the minutes. Chair, second. All in favor of accepting last month's minutes, please raise your hand. Motion carries unanimously. Minutes have been adopted. Moving on to old business, we have none. New business, we're going to discuss how we can defray the energy costs during the meetings at the Scotts Valley Clubhouse.
This place.
Yeah, so what we've been doing last month, I talked to Judy Whistler, and she is the president of the Scotts Valley Women's Club here. Their membership has decreased significantly, where they're having a hard time meeting things like property tax, utility bills. It's all coming out of her pocket. Last month, the members of this council each divvied up $5, and we leave $25 to help pay for the air conditioning or heating or whatever purpose of what we use here to help defray the cost from Judy. Another way we could handle this is by the nonprofit status, and Judy has been talking to our supervisor, Brad Rasmussen, regarding that. And that's on hold for now until she makes a decision whether they are going to be able to establish some type of a financial means to procure this place to keep it going or to sell the building. So we'll be waiting for that. It'll be a shame. This has been here for a long time, and it's just not getting the request for rental use during the summer. The St. Patrick's Day meals that last year there was not enough sign up for the first time in many, many years. At least 24 years that 25 years I've been coming to it. And then the sausage barbecue during the summer, and then other things that people use for giving CPR classes, sewing classes, other local organizations use this place. So the other thought would be, how can we brainstorm and advertise to this citizens of this community out here in Scotts Valley to see if there's young women who would like to become members of this Scotts Valley Women's Club and give it a fresh leadership and fresh start and membership growth. That might be something that would be worthwhile, and they could be beneficial to this committee as well as many other type of ideas. So that's something for the board to consider when we get down. So I would entertain anybody else that on the committee, first of all, the committee, did anybody have any, or the council members, any thoughts on this?
Who owns the building?
The Scotts Valley Women's Club.
But who is that? It's a,
It's a corporation, or I understand it's a, or whatever you call it. Yeah, it's owned by them, so they'd have to do their voting to whether to keep it going or sell it or whatever.
so
And-
they are now 5 people?
Well, I think there might be less.
Oh,
I'm not sure. I'm talking to Judy. I saw her the other day. And I couldn't really she wasn't really sure how many people are gonna stay active. But it's very few compared to where it's a lot. Any other questions from the council and ideas about this?
Do we know what kind of activities they regularly have and stuff now?
Yeah, I just said, let me repeat. They teach first, CPR and first aid. They have a women's sewing club out here. They've had, bridal parties and,
well, basically, they just
Receptions.
rent it out to whoever wants to
yeah,
rent it.
basically that. And
Yeah.
then they used to have the 2 events a year. By the way, I'm putting in my $5, for this time, here. So if anybody'd like to do that, they can share that with me. So I would ask the folks in the audience, anybody have any ideas or thoughts about how we could continue this setup here? If it's nice and local, it's part of our valley.
We need bigger parking,
I know.
yeah.
Tom?
Yeah, okay.
In the car.
Is there, and I don't know the answer to this, these, again, just brainstorming, is there a need for a senior center of any kind, a resiliency center? Is there anything that they can coordinate with the county to use this facility for other purposes that are above and beyond what they're using it for now?
I think that one of the reasons it's less supported is because they don't have their nonprofit status
Okay,
active. So if they did, then it would be easier to find ways to support it.
yeah, I mean, again, just brainstorming things that, what does the community need? You know, I know a lot of communities are struggling with places for seniors to go, especially when it gets really, really hot. As
We
far
don't
as-
have a lot of people living here in Scotts Valley,
Yeah, okay,
but to have like, to use this building for like our an event center, we'd have to have more parking.
Is this
So
a
we could
commer-
have
is
the
this a
Neighbor
commercial-
Fest here.
Is this classified as a
Is this which? I'm sorry?
can this be classified as a commercial kitchen?
Good question.
I don't know, it'd have to be inspected yearly.
Well, okay, I'm
Yeah.
just giving out ideas, I'm not asking
Yeah,
for
no, it's a
answers,
great
right?
idea.
So, if it's so for example, if it was a commercial kitchen, then people that are, say, trying to make a small business and needs a kitchen for either their food truck or for a farmer's market,
That's a good
and
idea.
things like that, they
Mhm.
would then be able to rent out time in the kitchen to make their products for sale other places.
'Cause,
Anyways,
yeah.
things like that, maybe first and foremost, if they
The
want to
kitchen.
continue, they would have to be a 501c3 or whatever, but it's just ideas. Thank you.
Yeah. The commercial kitchen is very needed,
Yeah.
yeah.
Have they ever indicated any kind of interest in specific areas?
closer.
Have they ever indicated any kind of interest in certain areas of expansion or changes or anything like that? New involvements that anybody's aware of?
No, they haven't. I've talked to Judy about that. I think the key here is there's lots of good ideas, but the key is new leadership. When you have the folks my age trying to keep this thing running and get all that stuff done, I think they've been doing it so many years, they're tired of putting it together. And I think the one way that we might approach this is to hopefully work with Judy to broadcast out to the community for the younger women that are more involved, that could build the membership up, provide future leadership to get it going. Supervisor Rasmussen.
Does it have to be women?
It's a Scotts Valley Women's Club.
We can change the name.
Brad?
Well, I don't know a lot about how their bylaws read as far as who can be members or not, but I can tell you it's no different than any other volunteer-based community service organization. I'm involved in several that I'm on or have been in the leadership and on the boards of, and people aren't joining these volunteer organizations anymore. The younger generation is not doing it. We've bent over backwards to try to recruit, and we just cannot get new people in. So I don't think their situation is any different. You know, I was willing to give them some of my discretionary money, but because of the current paperwork status with the nonprofit, I'm prohibited. So I have talked to Judy about if they decide they want to continue and they're able to get the paperwork situated, then I could take some of my discretionary money and get them a check to cover our use of this facility throughout the year.
Yeah.
But right now, my hands are kind of tied on that, and as far as when I talk to Judy, they're going to address it at their September meeting, which
Oh,
won't be until the middle of September. They'll discuss what they may want to do moving forward, but a lot of their leadership, their treasurer, secretary, they've left, and
oh.
they've got no one to do the paperwork.
Would it be possible to do some, I mean, would they be willing to have us do outreach for people to come to that meeting in
You know,
September?
you'd have to talk to Judy
Oh, okay.
to see about that. I didn't get into all those details with her. I don't know if their meetings are,
Close?
if their board meetings are open or closed to the
Right.
public.
Do you know?
But I definitely think that, you know, we need to, this is the only
Right.
facility out here in Scotts Valley that I guess I mean, there's other facilities, but as far as semi-public type thing owned by a nonprofit, is
Yep.
there any other ones?
No, there used to be a
don't-
Grange, but
I don't
no,
know of anything
not
else.
anymore.
That's under private ownership.
Yeah.
Right, so,
We-
but the other thing is, you know, maybe Northern Rural Energy might be able to help them with some energy assessments out here too. We've been talking
Oh.
about that and all the work they're doing. I
Right.
think it'd be worth having them connect with them also. Maybe there's some grants or some coverage for HVAC upgrades that wouldn't cost them anything.
That would be
the-
great.
That would be more efficient. I know there's grants, or they're gonna be having funding come available to do heat pump type replacements for organizations down the road, so. Anyway, I did tell Judy I would try to think of anyone that might be able to help her with the paperwork avenue, but generally you've got to hire an accountant to do that kind of stuff. It's complex.
Nonprofit?
To file all the paperwork for it.
Oh,
I know there are people out there that are capable and know how to do it, but it's been my experience that sometimes the easiest way to get it all corrected is hiring an accountant
oh.
that's familiar with nonprofit.
But they have no money for that, so,
I don't know.
yeah,
I have never seen where they advertise to rent it.
yeah.
out
Yeah.
either.
Well, those would be things you could talk to her about where it's a revenue source, but I think what it really is, my understanding coming down to is they only have 5 members and they don't necessarily know that they want to continue that organization.
Oh, that's what it is.
So I think what it's going to take is people joining that organization to help out.
Yeah, Brad, sure, so far as he meets with the board, there's only about 2 other people interested that meet, and so it's kind of slim.
That's the way it's going with everything.
So the other thing is, we have quite a volunteer group for the Neighbor Fest. I don't know if any of those people have been interested. The only other thought I have, and this is, might be a waste of time, this county has the most veterans of any county in the state.
Really?
Would the county consider trying to work where this could become a veteran center or veterans office? Or, I know they're looking for a place for the museum in case the new Safeway, whoever owns them, does that. Would the county consider a veterans hall, and if the price is right, if they get rid of it, transferring it into the county. It's just a thought, I'm not
Well,
pushing,
I can't answer whether they would or they wouldn't, but
I'm just sharing the
anything-
idea.
anything could be discussed.
Could you put out, an email about the board meeting if you find out if it's open to other people coming in, or?
Yeah, I think we could call Judy and ask her if,
Okay.
would she be open to,
Oh, you want one of us to do it?
well, I don't
You.
mind calling her, but I'm just suggesting.
I've never
that-
met her.
I try to call
Yeah.
her before every meeting, and let her know we open, just
Yeah.
remind her to open.
I don't mind giving her a call
Yeah.
and seeing if she's
I
open
think-
to having it advertised to see if there might be
That will,
people in the community that might want to join.
she might be more
Yeah.
receptive if it came from someone she already spoke with,
Right.
yeah. But if, if it were an open meeting and interested, if it has to be women, at least then they could listen to what they have to say,
Right,
yeah.
right. I'll give her a call. Thank you.
Any other thoughts or suggestions that we hope to pursue this because we like the idea of having this facility available. It's the only one left here.
Well,
But we're awful lucky at Medina's Ranch out there with the Neighbor Fest that they opened up to us too.
I'm willing to come to their next meeting and help them with the nonprofit. As- I've done that before.
Okay.
I would be
Yeah.
also willing.
All right, I'll talk to Judy then, and
So we have two women.
I will talk to her, too. Okay. And let's move on to, there's no other new business, so, excuse me. Update calendars, miscellaneous reports. Again, I invite our Fourth District Supervisor back up to the lectern and the status of the Scotts Valley Water Conservation District. Supervisor Rasmussen.
Yes, and we actually have one of the district directors here, Mr. Nickel, tonight, but the update with the Scotts Valley Water Conservation District is at last week's board meeting, I had an item on the board agenda to request that we start the process with the Local Area Formation Commission to review the district for potential dissolution. And there's several pieces to this, but the Board of Supervisors did provide consensus to start that process. And the way that that process gets started is we have to put out a 21-day public notice of our intent to file an application and a resolution with LAFCO to have a municipal service review done of the conservation district, and then potentially dissolve it. With the law in California for these type of reviews is they have to go to LAFCO. LAFCO is who has the jurisdiction to review municipal services for any district and or to do a dissolution process. That can only be done by LAFCO through a request from a local governing agency such as the Board of Supervisors, or by 10% of the voters in that district. Those are the two ways that it could come in front of the board. But essentially, I updated the supervisors about the district. This was timely because the election filing period for 2 vacancies has passed this last week. So as I said, one of your directors, Mr. Nickel, is here. He serves through the end of 2026, I believe. One of the other ones has been vacant since 2015. And then the other one, Miss Armstrong, would be up for election this November. She chose not to file for election. So when she didn't file, the filing period got extended, no one filed. So it will be back in front of us next week to put it to the Board of Supervisors to then advertise to the public to see if there's anyone interested in possibly getting appointed to those 2 vacant seats. But that's not going to stop the process that we've started. We're still going to move forward with the 21-day notice for the LAFCO review. And then once that's over, depending on how that goes, put in the application to LAFCO. And they're the ones that will ultimately make the decision. But as part of this whole process, I explained to the board, I'm not trying to abandon a lot of the missions of that district. I just think there's other ways we can handle it. You know, some of the reasons, there were 6 reasons why that district was created. The primary one being to take legal action against the city of Lakeport if they believe necessary for the use of the water in the aquifers. That's the main reason that recent times I believe that district has focused on, but there was 5 other reasons that it was created. You know, and part of that was flood concerns and, you know, protecting the stream-bearing gravels in the creek, water conservation, all that kind of stuff. So that was why I brought it to your group, suggesting that, you know, if that district doesn't exist anymore, this council can also advocate your
those
voice for the
issues.
Board of Supervisors. You're supposed to be advising us on issues important in your area. So we have that, and we also have our water resources who can also work on water-related issues. So that's the update on it. I did notify Mr. Nickel and Ms. Armstrong before the board meeting of what was going on, sent them the staff report link and all that kind of stuff.
And this only involves a small section of Scotts
100
Valley.
parcels in the district.
100?
It's 100 parcels, roughly,
Yeah.
within the Scotts Valley area. It's not all of Scotts Valley, it's 100 parcels, and some of that had to do with who wanted to be in and who didn't back in 1974.
Okay.
But that's the update on where it's at. This is a 6-month process for LAFCO to
Okay.
go through and do all the reviews and outreach that they have to do.
Okay.
But in the meantime, I intend to still work with that district, you know, until
Yeah.
it goes through the process. So unless there's any questions, that's,
So it looks like a 21-day process going, so,
well, we have to do a
6
21-day
months.
public notice,
all right, so.
where we
it
have
may-
to send letters to all the property owners.
So for this subject to come back for us to be updated, maybe a couple of months, just.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, okay.
6 months, he said.
So
Well, 6 months for LAFCO. I don't mind updating you after the 21-day process. During the application resolution process. But the first thing that happens is we have to do a public notice that the
Right.
board intends to do an application to LAFCO. And that includes sending letters to all the property owners that are in that district.
Yeah, the 100.
Not all of Scotts Valley, just the 100.
Are-
But then there'll be public notices too. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Brad. So what other agencies are taking over these functions?
Well, if the district is dissolved, the Board of Supervisors becomes the successor agency. We don't know, it hasn't been dissolved, we don't know how that's going to look. What I'm suggesting is that your council is a body that can help with some of that, and that Water Resources is. It hasn't been decided that they will or won't have any function over it. That's going to be down the road.
Okay.
But what I'm suggesting is that this council is already dealing with a lot of the same issues.
Right. I guess I have this general sort of wonder about who's in charge of Scotts Creek. And there's, you know, endangered fish coming up it and sediment coming down it. And there's flooding, and then it gets dry in the summer this time of year. And there's maybe some need for some scientific investigation of all this, or at least a survey to see if it would actually flow downstream where it's supposed to
And
in the winter
that's-
when it's flooding. So I'm interested in all these things, and I don't know that the Water Conservation District ever did anything about these things, but I'm still interested in some government assistance in approaching all of those problems.
Right, and that's why we put the $100,000 towards this flood study that hopefully is gonna go out to bid anytime this fall. If you remember the $100,000 we had, and we have another study project going on through Water Resources, but we gave Water Resources $100,000 of District 4 discretionary money because it was more cost effective to add this flood study on with an existing consultant that was already going to be here. Other than hiring a brand new one that wasn't going to be here, it would cost a lot more money. So I'm hoping, I've asked Water Resources to keep us updated on that flood study status when that goes out.
Mhm.
Okay.
That was a
And-
really good presentation.
But that's
Yes.
what we need to have in our possession so we can start then securing money to go do what we need to do. I think there's work that needs to be done to deal with this flooding. And-
Every now and then, we bring up the subject of the Bureau of Land Management, who I
Right.
guess is in charge of upstream, where I suppose a lot of this sediment comes from. Now, I don't know any of that. I'd like to have somebody tell me, oh yeah, that really is a problem with road building and off-road vehicles in the Bureau of Land
Yes.
Management area, or it's not a problem up there. Maybe it's just people complaining. I don't know that. I'd like to hear, though, if there is a problem up there, if there is a problem with sediment, maybe this is just completely normal. But I'd like to hear scientifically, or anybody, tell me, yeah, this is a problem, and yeah, there are things we can do about it.
And I don't have the answers to that either. That's why we need to get BLM. That's one of the reasons why we got to talk to BLM. But when you ask who's in charge of Scotts Creek, depends on the issue. Many different entities. You've got Fish and Game, you've got the county, you've got all kinds of different things going on depending on what the issue is, so it gets very complex. But as far as the flood issues, I'm 100% in agreement. We need to figure out what the problem is and get it addressed. I can tell you that there's more sediment in that creek than there used to be, and that's part of the reason for the flooding, based on the facts that I've gathered. I can tell you many scientists, people with science background that I've talked to, and they don't know the reason, but Scotts Creek drainage puts more sediment into that lake than anything else out there. But as far as why, I don't know. I couldn't tell you.
Okay.
But coming in through the Middle Creek area, which is where it comes in, that's one of the big reasons that we're trying to get this Middle Creek restoration done, to return that to natural marshland so it can filter all the sediment out and it doesn't go into the lake. If you're to drive out in Rodman Slough now on the right day and look out there, you can see where there's islands starting to, develop from the sediment load coming off of there. But in the 1960s, when those levees were built, we left open channels. All the sediment that wants to go into the lake can go into the lake. Where the natural lake, that Middle Creek area was a filter essentially. It was a marshland that filtered all the sediment out from going in the lake. That's what we're trying to bring it back to. Unfortunately, it's not going to happen anytime soon because we're still buying property, and that's a very complex process. Then when that's done, we still got to get millions and millions of dollars there to deal with moving power lines and doing all kinds of other stuff. So it's been in the works for 25, 30 years.
Wow.
Unfortunately, too long, I think. But I think, I don't know that BLM can answer all those questions, but that's a start if we can get the right person from BLM out here. So hopefully that,
That-
I don't think I answered your
Yeah,
questions, but,
As much as possible, thank you.
yeah. Any other questions at this point? Okay, thank you.
And that's an excellent report, Brad, thank you.
Yeah.
And nothing from the public, any comment on this? Good to have you here with us today. Appreciate you being here. Okay, let's move on to item E under updates, observations regarding groundwater, fire mitigation in Scotts Valley infrastructure. Ask the council first, any observations that you have to share? Well, I have one I'd like to bring forth. Going up through, what's the name of your road?
Eichhoff.
Eichhoff. Going up through Eichhoff, that is the fuel loading in there and the way the road's constructed is going to be a heck of an evacuation problem if they have a fire that moves out quickly there. And looking around, I see Sonoma County and Santa Helena, they have units with the county has with a truck and a crew and a huge chipper that's behind there. And they work with CAL FIRE and the inmate crews or the hand crews to work and clearing brush and debris that's flammable next to the road to try to increase the availability of evacuation without people being held up with a fire burning in front of them or jumping the road in front of them, but type of case. I think that if we look at what was just done on the Soda Bay evacuation route when you're looking at trying to get people to evacuate, because in that area there, the road is narrow and windy, so forth, so you could have a need of staging areas or places where people could get into for safety zones. I don't see that up here, but it might be something to look at and asking CAL FIRE to come look at this evacuation route in Wyckoff Road, looking for areas that could be safety zones and looking at ways to make this a easier, safer way to evacuate where they can drive out and the fire equipment can get in. It's a scenario that hasn't happened, but if it does happen, my experience in managing fires, that could be a real problem and we could have a terrific loss in there. That might be something that this council might want to consider to ask about CAL FIRE and suggest to the county about the use of idea of having crews from CAL FIRE and or chipper contracts or chippers to work on such areas like this. And it might be something for Scotts Valley to also look at other areas that could use it. So I'll leave it up to the council, but that's my observation for whatever it's worth.
One of, excuse me, one of the reasons Eichhoff is an issue is because it's a dead-end street. It's just, there's no other way out. So if there's a fire at the beginning, they're not going to get out, no matter what you do. So in my opinion, having lived there for 26 years, and in the winter it's the floods, the property owner at the end of the street has a gate, and it used to be, I don't know when, hundreds of years ago, it was a stagecoach route. It goes to the jail, the water treatment plant, and somebody somehow managed to now own that property, put up a gate and won't allow anyone through. And so for the first 20 years I lived here, they always, the road crew had a key, and we were able to evacuate if we had to. And that is no longer possible. So that would be one of the easiest ways to deal with that, besides, of course, brush clearing, is to somehow negotiate an agreement with the property owner again to allow that to happen, especially in fires or big flood events,
Well, that would certainly be the simple solution if people can get out. Also, maybe a safety zone that's constructed where it's a large area that the fire can't get to where people can get in the middle of, but yeah, if they could
Yeah.
figure out a way to get that gate open, you're certainly gonna save a lot of lives. I don't know how much cattle or livestock you have up there, but I'm sure
None.
you don't have any.
None, no.
So basically, what we're looking at is saving people's lives and getting them out safely.
Yeah, and it wouldn't be like a road that would always be open. But the road crew used to have access to open it during emergencies.
Is it a new owner, or is it just somebody to change their mind?
That I don't know.
See, that's all in the coordination of if the landowner would provide a key, a lock key where people can get to it to get out in case of emergency or some type of agreement, that's something that we might consider. The main thing is that our council is looking at what we see as something that could possibly happen to our citizens out here and how can we best resolve this and who do we tell about it? So it's just a thought I wanted to bring to this
Yep.
council to consider. Maybe we put it on the agenda for next time if any more input. Is there any thoughts from the audience on this?
It would depend on if Supervisor Rasmussen has any power over private property owners to encourage them to be kind.
Yes. Margot, good to see you.
Good evening, Council. Margot Kambara. It sounds like a public safety issue, and it has life and death implications. So if Eichhoff Road is a public road, yes?
It's a dead-end road.
No, but is it a public, is
Yeah.
it a county road?
Well, it is up to that gate.
Oh,
That's why it's a dead-end road.
oh,
Yeah, I
But
believe
it
some-
wouldn't be a dead-end road if they open it.
I believe it's both some county maintained, some not county maintained.
No, it just ends.
it
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
ends.
The
Oh.
public part of it ends at that person's gate.
We would have to look at the fire chief, CAL FIRE, and see if there's, what they could do to provide a plan, and look at these different options of either evacuating through that property or having a large area where it's a safety zone people can get into.
There's
Or
no.
won't burn, so
Yeah.
it's just something, but as a committee, we want to look at the welfare of our citizens out here and share it with the government, especially the supervisor,
Residents.
the residents, I'm sorry, and we want to make sure that they're safe as best we can to provide these type of ideas. So, it's just a thought that I want to bring up after driving through there and looking at that.
It would be a very worthy project for this body. Thank you.
Thank you, Margot.
Thank you.
Yes, Tom?
Thank you, Council. Tom Lasik. Just a couple questions. Is this road in the Lake County Wildfire Protection Plan has a dead-end road?
Well, it's inside the Lake County Fire District,
Right, but
the
there's,
Lakeport Fire Protection District, but I am not familiar whether they have the road plans or procedures, just like downtown. Do they have a plan for each building? What's
so
in it?
the reason I bring it up is Margot and I are in a similar situation. We have a road that's effectively a dead-end road. But that road is in the Lake County Wildfire Protection Plan to sometime in the future get it resolved. Okay, and there's like 2 or 3 others that I recall from memory that are also in a similar boat. That might be something that could be discussed on the next iteration to have it included in the plan, because as you've heard other people talk about, once it's in a plan, then it's easier to get funding and it's easier to get resources and things like that. So that might be maybe a starting point. The other thing is the Title 14 minimum safety requirements for fire safety roads and very high fire hazard severity zones, otherwise known as 4290. You might want to take a look at that and see.
Can you repeat that?
Say that again, yeah.
Oh, boy.
Title-
Just call it 4290.
Public Resources Code 4291.
Well, 4290 and 4291.
4291.
There's 4290 and 4291 is the
Right.
defensible space.
Right.
Okay.
But 4290 discusses roads and driveways. And it has a requirement for dead-end roads and how long they're allowed to be. But there's other things, to your point of simultaneous ingress and egress. There's road width, road grade, and things like that. So it might be worthwhile for this advisory council to look into maybe some sort of survey of the roads in the county, because our experience is that they really haven't been properly surveyed. And that might also help with, say, funding. Next time they come in to work a road, they can get it widened. And then finally, what you're calling safety zones, I think are also called TRAs, temporary refuge areas. You might want to, I think that might be like a good plan B. It historically was not, plan A is to get everybody the heck out of there, right? But that isn't always possible.
Right.
And so TRAs are starting to become something that some municipalities are starting to consider. So for example, in the Palisades fire, Pepperdine had a TRA, and it was approved by the county, and it had a lot of requirements it had to meet. But if that is something that, you know, you want to consider, it might be something to look into further.
Oh, wow.
Anyways, thank you.
Yeah, very interesting.
So anyway, it's, and thank you, Tom, for that input. So it's somewhat of a thought that the scenario exists out there. It's just if and when it will happen. But to draw attention as far as our government agencies and fire departments and how we can maybe collaborate to get this thing focused on, and maybe some progress on it might be something in the future. So I'll get off of this subject, and we'll now go to...
May I?
Yes, go ahead.
In regards to fire mitigation?
Yeah, come on up. I'm sorry, I didn't see you get up there.
Tom Nickel. I'm wondering if maybe the five of you could enlighten me. Microphone, please, sir. I'm sorry? The microphone. I'm wondering if the five of you could maybe enlighten me as to who has authority over individuals that, well, let me give you an example. A couple months ago, 2 parcels down from me, a gentleman was mowing his field in the middle of the day. My brother called, I believe, both CAL FIRE and Lakeport Fire.
Fire Protection District.
Yes. And both, I believe, said they have no jurisdiction as to telling somebody when to mow and not to mow. But I understood that there was some kind of ordinance out there that said that you cannot mow after 10 o'clock in the morning. My brother was very disappointed that nobody wanted to address that.
I think it's a suggestion.
Yeah.
It's an educational thing of that CAL FIRE and the other fire departments put out there. Try to, anything after 10, and try to not avoid, even burning, they say, not, actually, knock it off before 10. It could, little, you know, the piles of burning and stuff, as well as mowing. Weed eating, anything that chips or rock is a spark. So it's an educational thing to advise people don't burn when there's wind. Don't burn if it's the heat of the day and you got a tractor out there, get a blade. It's all fire prevention education at this point. There's no law or ordinance that anybody has on it that I know of.
Well, that seems a shame, because they got to hold people accountable. I mean, a few years ago, there was, I forget what that fire was called, but at the time I had a CAL FIRE battalion chief renting my house out here in Scotts Valley. But anyway, the fire got started, and it was some guy mowing his weeds in the middle of the day. They had to pull off 80 firefighters that were on R&R at the fairgrounds. They had to bring in 2 helicopters, a bulldozer, to put out this little fire that this guy got started. When I asked the battalion chief what recourse they had against this person, they said nothing. We couldn't do anything to him. I think that's a bunch of BS.
Well, there's if you start a fire that burns on the property of others, you're held liable for the suppression cost. Now, whether what circumstances that particular fire caused in there, but I know, one of the public resources codes is not allowing a fire to escape to the property of others. Once that is established, then you've got a suppression cost that goes to the individual who is, started that fire. And so, what are the records, what's the proof, what's the investigation share, who started the fire? But that is a recourse, and I've used that many a time to recur costs to help other people's property as well as the suppression cost. That was back a number of years ago, if I recall, when they had the incident base at the fairgrounds where they had to pull people off there. And, but I'm wondering why that battalion chief didn't realize that if it escaped to the property of others. Now, did it escape to another property or just his
We
property?
don't know. It's just an
We don't know.
example.
No, it escaped his property. There was an ongoing fire to start with, and then he decided, well, I guess maybe I gotta go out and mow my weeds now, which he should have been doing months earlier. So that's complete negligence, as far as I'm
It's
concerned.
not something we can do about it.
Well, that's something that the state legislature should be notified about, and say, hey, there needs to be an ordinance or a law against that type of thing. If we're getting if you look at the fire causes of lightning, children with matches, equipment use, arson, et cetera, maybe our state should start an ordinance that says these activities during this type of weather, it's just like they say your property must be cleared of flammable vegetation. So during the winter, it's not flammable. During the summer, it's flammable. Well, this is the same thing that they'd have to do that. So the state legislature should start or call your CAL FIRE people to say, what the statistics, and this is happening enough where there should be an ordinance or a law against it.
Yeah, well, interestingly enough, many years before that, I observed a young child at the Indian reservation there at Riggs and Scotts Valley Road mowing with a lawnmower. I called Lakeport Fire Department and the chief said, I'll be up there right now. So some people do take the initiative to mitigate anything from happening. So this county's just like inconsistent with everything.
Well, it's been like that in other counties I worked in, you know, it depends who's in charge and who's got control at the time. I've worked in a number of different counties for CAL FIRE, and like you said, it depends in this case who it was. So here again, it would have to be something to be established by our government to make that an ordinance or a policy or a public resource code to take care of that.
But it's also always a personal choice. Like, you know, when I have the capacity to do something and I'm not somewhere else, and I will do it, and maybe the fire chief happened to be there and not on some other duty, and he was able to go right out and take care of it. It's not always possible. But, you know, I think that everybody has the best intentions to do the right thing. It just doesn't always happen.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for your concern, though, I appreciate that. All right, let's continue next. Not hearing anything else. Council roundtable, I'll start with Jody. Anything new or exciting?
No, F.
Oh, F, I'm sorry. Oh, how could I dare miss that? I'd be a tarred and feather out of the room. Margot, come on and give us input on the general plan and the area plans, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Margot Kambara. With updates on general plan. Right now, general plan is being updated, as are the local area plans. Also being updated is the housing plan. The housing plan has been accepted by the Board of Supervisors. It is considered a living document. And at Supervisor Rasmussen's suggestion, it will be updated at least once a year. The next scheduled update is in the fall. Hard to believe, a month from now. So most realistically, we won't see an update until the end of the year. But this is an opportunity for the community to get involved in its housing plan. It goes by a crazy acronym, HAPE, Housing Action Implementation Plan. So, by reading the plan, residents become more familiar with it, and you can make suggestions, revisions, or changes, and you can do that as an individual or bring those suggestions to this body, or this body can also make those suggestions to the Board of Supervisors. On another topic, climate adaptation plan. So that work is going on through the county. Climate vulnerability analysis has been completed, and now there is a survey live. And I will give our viewers in Zoomland and on PEG TV the URL, so you can take a look and look for the Climate Adaptation Plan Survey. Or it might also go under this Climate Vulnerability Analysis Survey. So there, a little bit of hunting for you. And that concludes my update. Thank you.
Thank you.
As always, Margot, thank you very much. Any other comments on this item? Go ahead, Tom.
I think that, this is Tom, I think the HAPE thing dovetails into the previous conversation on fire safety, because one of the things that the supervisors discussed, and I think in particular Supervisor Pyska mentioned, is fire safety, and including that in the housing plan. So,
I'm sorry, you said fire extinguisher or what?
fire safety. So, and as part of the overall plan. So it wasn't necessarily in the latest iteration, but I think the expectation is that there would be something, at least a framework in the fall. So that would be another opportunity for this advisory council to take a look at and provide input. Thank you.
Increased fire safety.
Yeah, thank you. Such as not burning after 10 o'clock or not mowing after 10 o'clock.
Right. That could be,
But you could
emphasized.
suggest a fire extinguisher. You're still within your rights.
Okay, anything else on this item number
F.
F? Not seeing any. Let's go on to the round table, and Jody, anything to share with us?
No.
Okay, Cornelia?
Yes, we have 2 more weeks to complete our little action days for the mini grant for $300 for the fire safe community. Scotts Valley, that means I need 2 more volunteers. I have 2, my husband and your husband, and 6 people who would like help. So we have $300 to buy food and tools. But we have to finish it in August, or they won't give us any money. Yeah. You're gonna do the work. Yeah, we'll talk.
Will $300 buy a chipper?
No, we have a chipper. $300 will buy lunch and hand tools and things like dump fees, fuel, that kind of stuff.
Very good. Anything else? Jared, anything going up on the BLM or anything else? Yeah.
No. So in general, we've got a lot of new BLM staff now. Would it be the council's preference to try and line up a speaker relative to fire or relative to erosion remediation?
Can you speak a little louder?
Yeah.
Thanks.
Would it be the council's preference to try and line up a speaker about fire from BLM wildfire or about the sedimentation issues from the upper watershed?
To me, sedimentation would be more interesting from BLM. How about you?
Everybody else?
I think the sedimentation.
Great.
Oh, I know where Joel's going with this.
Yeah.
Well, they're related, aren't they? So if you burn off all the
somewhat.
trees, then there's more flooding and there's more sediment, right?
That's
Well,
not-
you know,
That's not a big deal in this particular area.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not a
But-
big correlation.
I think they also have changes in their off-roading vehicles being either implemented or planned. It would be nice to have an update on that.
Okay. They might be kind of laced together. We might even have two people come. They have
Mhm.
somebody, they're different departments, but
Right.
they overlap so much. I think they do have a sedimentation specialist kind of guy. If the board would like, I can try and line that up.
Would this be for a September or October meeting? Would we prefer?
Doesn't matter.
Members, anybody, any selection choice? When?
We have one speaker in September. It's only 15, 20 minutes, talking about electric vehicles.
Okay, Maya suggests, Jared, that you could try for either next month or October, let us know if they would be available, so we could plot that out and get the whole Cornelia on that.
Okay,
It sounds like a good subject.
Yeah.
okay.
Joel, anything to share?
No, thank you, Greg, nothing from me.
Okay, I've said enough today, so I'm gonna shut it down as far as the roundtable. So, on the September 15th meeting, what topics are we gonna list to make sure that we cover, so people know we have a speaker?
Mhm.
Is there any other topics from this meeting that you, anybody on the council sees that needs to be?
We need to talk about this building. I think that's paramount. So find Judy Whistler's input and needs.
I'll see if she would be here, maybe, I don't know if she's comfortable
Well, she
speaking
can
with.
share
Yeah,
just
we
with
could
you.
try to, or share information, so
Mhm.
Judy Whistler would also be another one, the president of the Scotts Valley Advisory Committee. And definitely another, I guess, another update on the,
Find out if we're allowed at their next meeting. If we join the group, can we come to the next meeting?
their meeting.
Yes.
Their board meeting. Okay. All right. Anybody from the audience? Brad, you're standing up. Does that mean you want to say? Okay.
After an hour,
Of course, we always appreciate Margot's input on keeping track of what's going on with the plans. And
Oh,
we
yeah,
really-
definitely.
really like to do that. And we probably won't have anything new on the Scotts Valley Conservation District, Water District at that time. Continue the observation of the groundwater mitigation and so forth. Okay, so pretty much, unless there's some other burning agenda item from anybody,
So that's three things I have: Scotts
Right.
Valley Women's Club, BLM speaker potentially, and the Lake County Electric Vehicle Plan speaker.
okay?
That's not the right word, but,
And
yeah.
depending on Jarrett, we may have a second speaker,
Right, the BLM
in
speaker.
whatever, so you comfortable with that, Jarrett, on your minutes and so forth, and so that. Okay, well, then, we've covered the full agenda. We appreciate your attendance, as all of you are here. Thank you for attending, I want to especially thank your input in being here from the Water District and representing them, and I
Yeah.
appreciate all your past service in doing that for our valley.
Thank
You've
you.
been there.
This
With
is
that-
like the shortest meeting ever.
Yeah, so at this time, I'm going to adjourn this meeting at what time is it?
6:08.
At 6:08, this meeting is adjourned.
All right.
Good job, Greg, thank you.